Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the set. I'm your host, Mr. A. We're going to wait a few seconds or a few minutes just to let people get in the room. Tonight, if you've been following, I'm very excited to have a gentleman who is such a creative force, and I've seen him evolve over the years that I've known him from being a break dancer and a graffiti artist, um, an electronic musician, and then making his way into film. But through all the years that I know this gentleman, the one thing that I've always known about him was that he was always a creative person. So tonight, I hope everybody in some way, shape, or form can relate to him because I feel like everybody has something in them to be creative, whether it's cooking, dancing, um, art, whatever. Everybody has a little creative side in them, and it comes out in different ways. But this guy, you know, he he's been on a trail of evolution from childhood. So I think he's super interesting, and I hope that everybody can sit back, enjoy, and listen and observe his experiences that he's going to talk about tonight. And as you know, we want to bring real people telling real stories on the set, and this gentleman is one of them. So just to bring everybody up to speed, Wednesday, December 9th, 7 p.m., Brooklyn's own Joey Magic Brower. He is the Sheepshead Bay and St. Leo's legend, Joey Brower. They called him Magic. They called him White Chocolate. They called him everything, but never out of his name because when he had that basketball in his hands, he was all business. So Wednesday, December 9th, we're going to speak to Joey. And we have a few more special announcements for the night. So just make sure you stay tuned and come check it out. It's going to be a great story. And then on Sunday, December 13th at 7:30 p.m., Andres Chulisi Rodriguez, singer, actor, and the creator of his own personal one-man show. Andres is going to come share a very deep story. This guy's another creative, another uh, actor, singer. I mean, this guy does it all, and he has an immense personality. So I hope everybody can tune in for that. It's going to be a very good show, um, and hope everybody can just appreciate, what the set is doing and how we're trying to, again, bring you stories that are engaging and that you feel some semblance of connection. So I hope everybody can tune in for that. Remember, Sunday, December 13th, 7:30 p.m. Andres Chulisi Rodriguez. And then Wednesday, December 16th, CKMD Dance Studios, Miss Beverly Baskus and her daughter, Chantal Dewsbury. They've just opened a dance studio in Texas. What part of Texas are they in? Is it Houston? I believe it's Houston. So they're going to tell their story about what it's like to open up a dance studio, a brick and mortar during COVID. And not only that, but the dance that they're teaching, oh man, I think everybody's going to love it. So, with that said, without further ado, let's start the show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set. And tonight, we're going to be speaking to a Mr. Aram Spike Bauman. I hope I didn't mess up his last name. But again, Mr. Bauman's a cinematographer, filmmaker, and creator. And we're going to speak to him tonight about his journey, just covering all bases, work that he's done, his struggles, how he got his start, his interests, and so on. So I hope everybody enjoys the show. Um, Miss Joanna Rios, good evening. Mr. Benjamin Colon, good evening. So, without further ado, I want to welcome a very good friend of mine, somebody who I respect, and I hope everybody will enjoy his story. Mr. Spike, well, that's his nickname, Mr. Aram, Mr. Aram Bauman.
Hey, what's up,
Aram,
man?
how are you, sir?
Man, you sound so official, and I'm all nervous and shit.
Hey, listen, you know, this is a very this is the birth of the set. You know, we're in the very early stages. We're going to be changing a lot, and it's going to get a little more, watcher or listener friendly as we go. But I think
Yeah,
I'm going to be. It's going to be a 2-man thing. In its origins, it was always a 2-man thing. But at the time, my partner, who has certain restraints, had to deal with things. So I said, "Listen, I'm going to go ahead and get it started. Here we are." But I think he's going to be bringing a lot of the comedic power, if you would, to the show.
yeah.
So, I think it may change a little bit, but while I'm here and holding it down, I gotta be as professional as possible.
Oh man, that sounds good.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm still very green, and my son, who's striving to be an actor right now,
Hmm.
he critiques me all the time. He's like, Dad, you have to stop, saying you can't, that's not a segue, and I'm like, listen. Listen, you came out of my nuts. Stop being disrespectful, little guy. but he's great, and I'm my worst critic. As you know, being creative, you know, you can look at something 1,000 times, and it still sometimes won't seem right to you, right?
Right,
And
100%. You're never satisfied, man.
and that the funny thing is, and the ironic thing is, before we get into our conversation, every night that I shoot the show, immediately after it's done, I go back and I watch it immediately, and I
Wow.
stop and just to observe myself, because
Hmm.
again, very green, very green. Alrighty then. So
Well, you got the voice for it, man.
listen, you know what? That's something that people have been telling me. They said
Yeah.
if you don't stay in the podcast, you should definitely get on the radio because your voice has some sort of some bass. um,
Right.
so while we're here, um, let's start at the beginning. So you and I know each other personally from downtown Brooklyn,
Right.
right? State Street between Bond and Nevins, correct? Or was it the
Yep.
block up? Oh, okay, Bond and Nevins.
No,
Okay,
that's like the main block. I
right.
was from Nevins and Third Avenue, but like the
Hmm.
main situation was on State and Bond.
State and Bond,
Yeah,
yes.
because Adam was down one way, and then Reggie and them guys was up the other way, and I was
Right.
just a little bit further down. But that was the main corner that everybody went to because you had Rays on the corner there.
Yeah. People see, if you're watching older people, you understand that any store that had a video game or a slew of video games was the spot, and
Right,
Ray's was that place. Besides Phil's, and salute to Phil, the OG. I was
Phil.
speaking to his wife earlier on today, but salute to Phil. You can't talk about downtown without talking about Phil.
Right.
Um, so being there in downtown Brooklyn, where was your sort of start um, as a creative? Was it graffiti? Was it break? Like, where did it all start for you?
It started in well, my mom was always an artist, and she was always trying to get me into things. So, like as a kid, she'd try to put me into these programs and everything. But the first time I ever really got into it was in junior high school. My friend David from Wyckoff took a
Mm,
tag on my book, and it said Chino on it, and that was his name. He was half Japanese, half Puerto Rican. So I was like, "Oh shit, that's awesome!" So he showed me how to make that S. Remember the S with the three
yeah,
lines, and then
yeah,
you connect it.
yeah.
And he did that real big on my book, and I was like, "Wow!" I went home and I started practicing it. So then I was trying to think of a name that would start with that S, so I could use it. And I came up with this stupid ass name called just Stargazer.
Pretty. That's a pretty long fucking name.
Yeah, well, SG was like the
Right.
for shortening it, and I started
Right.
doing SG forever. But then I
Okay.
had to figure out, doing those lines took too long, so I had to figure out a quick way to do it.
Mm,
And so, junior high school, like that was just playing around in the book and everything. Like I didn't know anything about writing on the streets or writing in the trains or anything like that.
right.
Um, but then when I hit high school,
Mm,
I made it into performing arts and I made it into uh, art and design. There's a couple other art schools that I made it into. I really
right.
wanted to go to Brooklyn Tech because Tattoo went to Brooklyn Tech. Like, he was a year before me, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "Yo, man, you got to come here. It's so awesome. What we know all these people." And they didn't have graffiti yet, but they just had a big crew still. Because back in the day, Wyckoff had this thing called the Ricans United,
Right.
and that was like the probably the start of X-Men because the same people from that became X-Men later on.
Okay.
But So we go to, I get into Brooklyn Tech. My mom had to pull some strings because I was like, I didn't apply for it. She pulled some strings, got me in, and that was it, man. Once I saw like all the like graffiti, I
Hmm.
was so hooked, and I never went to class. Me and Tattoo would leave out through the back, and we sit there at Brooklyn Bridge, and we watch the six trains go by, and the four and fives, and we sit there taking pictures with the little 110 cameras,
Yeah, they had the
and just take
Swift to
pictures
film.
of all those trains that were going by with Scene and Dez and all these guys.
Right.
So then we would go home, print the pictures out, and we sit there and try to like copy those letters, and that's how
Wow.
we started. And then there was a there was like another crew name we had before that, but one day Tattoo comes up and says, "Oh, we're gonna be the Executioners, but we're gonna say X-Men for short." And I was
Oh,
like, "Okay." So it was me, So, June, and Tat, and we kind of was just us at first because we were the only ones really writing graffiti. Everybody else was just like hangout.
right.
So um, we just were so into it. We left like we go to school, sign in, and then go boom, hit Utica layups, and we did that every single day, and we got up kind of fast. So X-Men grew like exponentially, and then in the lunchroom, that was like the main hangout. Then we
Hmm.
meet other writers. Like we were writing, but we didn't know there were other writers in there and other crews.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, there was like this table that was just all graffiti writers, and eventually they all became X-Men.
Wow.
And those are all the writer parts. But then the people in Wyckoff, there's only a few writers in there. Everybody else was kind of hangout, so like it had two divisions.
Hmm.
Like the ones like, oh, I don't know if you remember Squib Park down
Yeah.
over at Suicide Hill.
Yeah.
Like that was like the main hangout over there. So we'd go there, and that's where all the hangout was there. All the girls and all that stuff was there, and everybody was smoking and doing whatever. And um, in
Hold,
school and everything was,
hold on a second, Spike. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I
yeah,
want to try to help the audience come along. So for everybody who's watching, um, let me help you out in this story. So he says X-Men and he says tattoo. So X-Men was a graffiti group that started in Brooklyn back in the 80s, right?
right,
Tattoo, I believe, wasn't Tattoo. Tattoo was president of X-Men.
president, yeah,
He was president of X-Men, and Tattoo gave birth to this graffiti group that grew. I mean, there's X-Men in Chicago right now.
it's worldwide right now.
Yeah, look
Yeah,
at it, it's worldwide. They're very famously known, and anybody who's an artist from the street from the 80s to now should know or does know of X-Men, right?
yeah,
And Brooklyn Tech, when Aram was saying that his mom pulled some strings, see, as I understand it, his mom was very active in the community and she knew a lot of people. So was his dad. So
right.
back then, it was a lot easier not to go physically cheat or pay for somebody to get into school when you're trying to help them, like your child, like in his situation. She knew so many people, and his dad knew so many people that they were able to make a few calls. Boom, he landed in Brooklyn Tech. And Brooklyn Tech is, at this point in New York, it's very respectable school. The academics
Right.
are like super respected. So him being a hangout dude, well, after he met Tattoo, I don't know how that all worked out. So um we're at the
Well, it's funny
point.
because I knew Tat way before then.
Did you?
Because yeah,
Okay.
he lived on Devon Street. So
Okay.
I don't know if you remember St. Charles, if you ever was down there, down in Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah.
So St. Charles was where June and those guys went to school, and Tat. But we used to play basketball down over there also, because
Okay.
basketball was another big part of my life. So I knew him from playing ball and just hanging out. I had a house upstate in Hunter Mountain,
Hmm.
and at growing up, Tat was like my brother. I didn't have an actual brother, but he was like my brother because he was the only guy that would come. Him and Adam, pretty much.
Okay.
Um, so like, yeah, I knew him way before we started graffiti, and
Mm,
I'm guessing that's pretty much why I was like the one of the four originals of X-Men.
right.
Like he brought it to me. It's so him and So came up with the idea, and then he brought it to me in June, and we were like the four originals.
Wow. So essentially, graffiti was your sort of like your vehicle into being a creative.
That was yeah, that was like the first time like I thought about colors and and
Mm,
and styles and anything like that.
right.
Um, and then at the same time, hip hop started. I mean, I was
Uh,
actually listening to hip hop before I hit the radio. Like I had some old records from before because, like, I don't know if you remember on Fulton Street, they had I think it was Rockers Revenge used to have a record store over there.
yep.
So I would go in there and they just give me records, say, yo, check this one out, check this one out, and they would give me all this rap music from like um
Like underground type
like
shit.
Rap Dirty and things like that, stuff that never
Okay.
hit the radio
Uh-huh.
before Sucker MC, yeah, no,
Right.
before Sugar Hill Gang hit the radio.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had rap. So, and then there was those jams with 38s. People would play music, and then also in Whitecroft, these guys would DJ in the park over there.
That was way
So
back.
yeah, so hip hop was like the actual, no, like rap. I mean, hip hop, graffiti, and breakdancing was like my trifecta getting me into like the arts because I didn't know how to dance. I was embarrassed as hell to go out and dance with any girl or do anything like that. But when breakdancing came out, I was like, oh shit, I gotta learn this. And next thing you know, I'm out in the middle. I'm like, I used to go to the fun house and I'm on the stage there doing head spins and shit with everybody and just doing our thing. And then we after that we go do it's so funny. Like we go to the club and then we go hit the trains right after and then we go play some basketball.
Wow. That see when I listen to you tell your story and you're jumping through and I'm seeing the visuals because when you speak about getting records from the record shops on Fulton, I remember all those places. And you'd go
Shit.
by and they'd have like two Geminis outside and the music would be blaring.
Yeah.
And it
Was
was
that
just
Fat Beats or something like that? I think it was
it,
called.
there was Fat Beats, there was Fat Tracks, there was a bunch of them over
Yeah.
there, right? But the great thing about it is when you're speaking about it, it's nostalgic. So I see myself walking past McCrory's, going down, looking at the bank in the mall, and then going, no, I'm gonna go this way, and then you can just walk by all those shops and hear the music and smell the frankincense and
The frankincense. Yeah.
the oils and the popcorn coming out of McCrory's, and it's like really, really super nostalgic.
And that
Uh,
one dude, I don't know if you remember that one tall dude with the braids who used to sell like phones and shit all over
uh,
the. That tall dude.
there was an old man who was blind who used to play an accordion. I think he used to be by McCrory's or by A&S. Dude, he
Yeah.
was there forever,
Yeah.
forever. I can remember seeing him like as a little kid, and then like right when I was becoming a teenager, I used to see him out there. It was crazy. So breakdancing, graffiti, and
And hip hop.
in hip hop as a
Yeah.
culture is what sort of gets this creative juices in your body flowing and
Right.
seeing different colors and getting in people's books, passing around the black book. And then at what point in your life do you go from that being a hobby to for that being something that you actually want to make a career out of, like doing music or whatever
Um.
it is?
Well, I used to, back in the day, I had a MC, it was DJ Ray's, because my graffiti name was Ray's, um, and I had a thing DJ Ray's and the Tragic Magic MCs, and I had two MCs, and we used to go and do battles and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so that was the musical part, and I wish, man, we were just smart enough to take it to the next level because we had all the connections, we knew everybody, especially
Hmm.
through the X-Men. We had connections to like all these music people that were starting out, like UTFO and all those guys. Like they would all
Hmm.
hang out in the same spots, and we would hang out with them. But we never ever thought about like saying, "Hey, we also do music." You know what I
Right.
mean? Because graffiti was like the top tier for us. Like the music was secondary,
Right.
and actually there was music, breakdancing, and then I mean graffiti, breakdancing, then the music. The music was just kind of like I don't. I guess you were never there for one of these things, but I used to have like literally like 50 people in the house
Hmm.
DJing, and I had me and Coach Cheese would sit there playing the music, and everybody's hanging out. My parents owned that newspaper, so they didn't come home till late,
Yeah.
and they would walk in at like 10 o'clock at night and see all these motherfuckers everywhere, and my pops would just look around and go, "Get the fuck out!" and everybody goes scattering out. They go, "Man, I hate your pops." But like when I think about it, man, I was like, man, we should if we were smart enough, we could have taken the music to the next level.
Right.
It was just as good as anybody else. I think like I have one song that we put up that I actually found that Cochise and I did
I heard it.
uh on a tape, and I was like, man, that was it just needed some tweaking for certain things. But Cochise
Hmm.
had the lyrics. Craze was one of the other guys, and he had the lyrics. I don't have any recordings from him. Cochise had them all. Rest his
Wow.
soul.
I remember
Um,
when you posted that. I was like, I can't believe he found it, and I can't believe that it's still functional. You know.
no, it's crazy. When I found it, it was on cassette tape still, and my pops just happened to have a cassette player, like a Walkman, that you plug into your computer, and it turns it into an MP3. Because I was like, how am I going to get this off here? And I thought maybe I have to record it off from my phone through like something, but I didn't even know how I was going to play the tape. And he just happened to have it in the drawer for me to do that. So
Nice. Well, you got lucky. Let's put it
yeah.
that way, because I found loads of stuff too where I had like tapes from back in the days, and very few of them work. It's disheartening because of the sort of the music and that whole press pause and I'm recording this song kind of vibe were on those tapes, and it's difficult for them to retain the integrity to allow you to play them. Fast forward 20 years later, you know
Well,
we we all
oh
love to do that.
yeah, no, it's
What are you
funny.
you pulling something out? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Pause. I gotta see this.
we used to go to studio and like
Yeah,
this little, I don't know if you can see it.
yeah.
Let me
That's the
see.
heavy tape.
These are actually these are recordings that we
Holy
did.
shit.
So we had, it's funny. It's one Amazonian. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Uh-huh. I can see it. Mhm.
Um, this was actually like a house track kind of thing, and it had like uh, uh, electric not electric what's those thing called, those steel drums and things like that,
Yeah.
and it had a nice little beat going and everything, and I thought it was something that I could have brought out to on tracks or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Probably 6 years later, I
Uh-huh.
heard an almost exact replica of that song. And I was like, how the fuck did this song get out? Because it's too uncanny how close it is. Like the rhythm, everything was pretty much the same. And I
Mhm.
was like, Cochise, yo, check this out. And I played it. It was I forget, I think it might have been a Tony Touch track.
Okay.
But I was like, man, I know he knows Steve and shit. I wonder if he actually got one of the tracks from Steve or whatever. I never made any big deal about it,
Right.
but
Just one of those things that's like,
it was
man,
one
I
of
could
those
have did
things.
something.
It was exactly like Coach Chiefs were really like both listening to it and we're like, what the fuck? This is like exactly the same thing. But we didn't know. And we were like, oh well, I guess that's kind of cool that
Right.
someone would do that.
Right. Right.
But it's funny you mentioned that. I just happened to have those tapes there. We probably got like eight, nine different tapes.
Man, you're lucky. I'm telling you, you're very lucky because again, like I've had cases of tapes over the years that I've had to like do away with because again, those things unless you store them the correct way or you
Yeah,
house them the proper way, they just lose it. Just like VCR tapes or anything else,
right.
the media just, doesn't hold up.
But I think
So
that case that I have them in, because it's a zipper case, that probably protect, and
yeah,
they're in the plastic the plastic cases on top of that.
you
So I
see,
think I got lucky.
you did get lucky because my wife was not letting me hold none of that shit in the house. She's like, that shit goes in the shed. And I'm like, but if we put it in the
Oh,
shed, it's not, that defeats the purpose. I might as well throw it away. And she's like, well, why don't you? We don't have a tape. And I'm like, oh man, you
yeah,
don't
no,
understand.
man. I understand. That's why that's here, because otherwise it'd be in the garage.
Yeah, man. So now you go through these phases, right, of growth. And I know at one time you were because I had come to you for advice at one time about a setup, and you gave me some sound advice, and you know you started making. I know at one point you had like your own group of people where you guys would meet up and sort of play tracks for each other. If I'm not mistaken, you had like a EDM group where guys used to
Wow.
get together and just you guys created music on the computer and just used to share music.
No,
Um,
not for that. Not for EDM. It was
Well,
all
not for
beats.
that. No, no, that's what I'm saying. Not. I'm saying like I said EDM. That was wrong. You you guys were like electronic musicians. Like
Yeah.
nobody had a band. You guys were
No.
just making beats on computers, right?
Right. Yeah. We had Dr. Rhythm was the first little rhythm box that we had.
The Bose.
It was same one that they used for Set It Off. The beats for Set It Off.
Wow. I don't think
Remember?
people really understand the history. Well, not the history, but the shock of. Did you get to see the guys play live? Set it off. Have you ever seen them perform?
Yeah, we in Chippendales actually. I think it was.
What?
Yeah, it's in Chippendales. Yeah, man, that's one of the things. Me and June, we used to go to Chippendales after 11 because before that it was like a male strip club basically. So you go in after 11, they have public, the regular public goes in. So you go in and all the horny girls are there fucking after this.
Ducks in a fish in a barrel. I
Fish
get
in a
it.
barrel, man. So yeah, and
Wow.
people would bug out. They're like, "Yo, you went to Chippendales?" I'm like, "Yep." I wouldn't tell them why because I didn't want that place to blow up with a bunch of dudes.
Fucking sausage fest after that.
Yeah.
So you're going on now. You're making music. You have a little group going where you're sharing music and whatnot. At what point do you reach where you're saying, you know what, I want to get into sort of the visual aspect or film per se?
Um, it's funny. The reason, and it's funny. Dark and Reg, we used to sit on the steps all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and even before that, when I used to live on Warren Street between Hoyt and Smith, like
Mm-hmm.
we'd sit on the steps, and everybody would just sit there and rank on each other, and it was funny as hell. And I always was saying like, man, I wish we could film this, and it'd be
Mm-hmm.
awesome if we did a film of just the guys hanging out. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about that forever on the steps, but like coming from Brooklyn, you think like, we're not Hollywood. You're never gonna have any access to any of that stuff.
Right.
I had no idea that of independent films or things like that, and it just was always in the back of my head. And I guess it was kind of a transitional story for that because I always had it in the back of my head, and then uh, I was, I tried so many different things in life. I was doing the tow truck driving, the garbage truck driving, the sheriff, decorative painting, like faux finishing,
Okay.
all that stuff. And I was doing this guy's bathroom. I was doing like a mural fresco kind of thing on the top of his in his bathroom ceiling, and
Uh-huh.
it was a big ceiling. I'm on a big ass ladder. I'm painting, and the ladder kind of moved a little bit, and I was thinking if I would have fallen off and hit my head on that sink and paralyzed myself, like what would I do for the rest of my life? And I thought about that a lot that night, and I decided that I need to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I actually thought. I need to go back to school and learn computers because at least I could put a pencil in my mouth and then type on the keyboard with my head if I had to, and I could still get a job. Because I had kids, but I literally thought that, and next thing you know, I I go to Pratt, and I say I want to go to Pratt. And the reason why I picked Pratt because Adam's mom used to work there, and she told me forever I should go there. It's like
Wow.
Pratt's for you, you should go, you should learn all this stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
just blew it off because I wasn't into that at that time.
Right.
But when that, I was actually 30 when I had this revelation.
Right.
And I was like, I'm gonna go to Pratt and see what it's about. And I walk in, and they're asking me what I want to do, and I had no idea. I was like, well, I liked this commercial I saw, and it was the Listerine bottle
Right.
swinging through the vines
Mm-hmm.
that was going, oh, 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 oh. And it was all animated. And I was like, I want to do that. And they're like, oh, that's 3D animation. And I was like, okay, I would love to do that. And it's like, do you have a portfolio or anything? And I didn't have anything.
Should have
So
brought
I
you in your black
literally,
book. Y'all
well,
got this.
it's funny. I don't have any black book stuff. They all got stolen. I used to have so many people in my black books. They would always get stolen.
Yeah.
Um, so I told they said you need a portfolio, and I literally went home and drew for a week straight and built this whole portfolio up. And I go back, and they're like, this is it's like you just came here last week. How do you have all this work? And I was like, I sat there and I drew all this shit, so I can get in. And the lady looked at me, and she was like, well, we usually don't do this, but school starts in a month, and if you want to come, we'll put you on probation. And I was like, thank God. Um, so that was my start. And then the first day of school, I had my first computer class ever in my life.
Uh-huh.
And I sat there looking at the screen. I had no idea how to turn this thing on. And I'm thinking, I'm 30 years old at this point, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, fuck, man, I made a mistake. Like, there's no way I could do this. And my friend Sheldon looked over, and he saw that I was having trouble. And
Mm-hmm.
this was like a 2.0 class too. I didn't even know when I was picking classes.
Right.
I think I just picked it because of the name. And he was like, "Yo, man, you have a problem?" I was like, "Dude, man, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never turned the computer on in my life." And he turned it on for me, and he showed me what to do, and he like took me under his wing for that semester. And man, that that changed my life basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So then I started finding out, what 3D animation was, and I was like, oh shit, this is my this is actually my into film, because I was thinking like, at that time, this was in 95. So
Mm.
you started having special effects in movies that were kind of really, they were really good
Hmm.
at the for the time. And I was thinking like, oh, I could do this, and that, and it's my foot in the door for film, because they'll give me their shot, I'll do their animation,
Hmm.
and my name will go up in the credits.
Right.
Um, so that was my thinking while I was in school.
Right.
Then I found out there's actually filmmaking in school, and you can rent cameras and do all that stuff. But I kind of wasn't interested in that
Hmm.
anymore,
Right.
because the 3D animation stuff was like awesome. Like, that was like the first time it started hitting desktops, because back in the day you had to have like super SGI machines
Yeah.
to be able to work on all that stuff, and it was impossible for anybody to do it on a desktop kind of thing.
Yeah. The
So
technology didn't catch up to the access like
yeah,
for the masses.
and uh, 3D Studio it was called in the beginning.
Hmm.
You had to actually, like, you had Windows 3.1, and you had to go to DOS and like open up DOS and then program this program to come. You had to type in shit in the console to make it come up and start working. So
You're dating yourself right now.
yeah, it was
I
so
don't
weird,
even.
man.
I don't even think anybody in the. Well, I'm sure there's probably one or two people in the room that understand or even are familiar with the term DOS, right? That's matrix shit for
That's,
everybody
yeah,
who's watching. Before
the
we
green
go on,
letters.
yeah, for real. Before we go on, I'm your host, Mr. A. Welcome to the set. I hope everybody's enjoying the show. Tonight we're speaking with Mr. Aram. Am I messing up your last name?
No, everything's perfect actually.
Bauman?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Aram Spike Bauman. And he is the keeper of Urban Mouse Productions. Um, before we go on, I want to play a piece of work that Mr. Bauman had his hand in creating, just to show you and understand the level of talent that we have on the show tonight. So just take a look at this trailer uh, and enjoy. Oh, wait. Did I add? Can you hear the audio on this?
No.
Yeah, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I want to do it.
Wah,
I
wah,
want to
wah.
do it. Yeah, I want to do it. It happens, man. I'm the sole engineer in this bitch. My other partner, he's killing me. All right, let's take a look at this. This is did you filmed and directed or just
I was a cinematographer for this, and I did the editing and special
okay.
effects in this also.
Okay, so this is called Dwellers, The Curse of Pastor Stokes.
There's been things going on in the church. Demonic spirits.
Dwellers.
Dwellers?
Have you ever wondered what happens to the demons that people exorcise when they come to church?
Damn.
Those demons dwell in that church.
Oh, that's
This is a longer trailer? This is an extended one?
no.
Let us pray.
In the name of the Father, state your name.
Ugh. Oh shit. Urban Mouse.
With the
Man.
graffiti, of course, in the
Of
background.
course. You gotta pay homage to the roots, man. Wow,
Yeah,
that's so let me ask you a question. How long did that piece of work take you? And I'm assuming that's pre-COVID, correct?
yeah, that one we just released this year.
Oh really?
Um, yeah, we
Okay.
just released that one this year. There was a little break in between. It took 2 years to shoot,
Mhm.
because we shot half of it, and then the director had some issues that he had to take care of for about a year or half a year, and then we
Okay.
came back to it, which was weird because it came abruptly. We didn't even know like this was happening. All of a sudden, we just stopped hearing from him. And
Wow.
so we had to actually pick it up a year later and match everything that we
Wow.
previously shot, which was, and like I was like, oh man, is this going to be possible? But
Right.
it looks good. Um,
No, it does. It looks fucking spooky. For real.
well, trailers are always like that.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Purposely,
but
right?
yeah. But uh, it takes. So that was like, usually that was a fluke for the 2 years shooting, but normally it takes about 3 weeks.
Mhm.
A decent schedule is like 3 weeks to a month for something like that on an indie schedule.
Okay.
Um, and then after that takes I don't know, a couple of months of I would say a good 6 months of editing, sound design, the musical score. You gotta go through all those steps, and then the color correction at the end.
So what is your do you have a favorite position to play when you're creating? Or do you like being behind the camera more? Do you enjoy directing, or do you enjoy like all the aspects, or
I enjoy the
altogether?
whole thing.
Okay.
The cinematography part, I do enjoy the most.
Right.
And normally in the normal world, you don't just jump in and say you're a cinematographer. But
Right.
I had gotten into it right when the first video camera that came out that looked like a 16 millimeter film,
Okay.
and it was like the hottest thing, and everybody wanted it. So if you had one, they pretty much hired you so they can use it. So I accidentally bought this camera because I was working at Philips at the time. I had a regular 9 to 5, and I was bored out of my ass, and I was doing video things for them,
Okay.
and I kept wanting to do something better. So I saw this camera. I was like, fuck, let me buy it. It was brand new to the world. No one knew how to deal with like 24p footage, and
Right.
there was all these like workarounds you had to do to make it to get to that point, because they would record in 60 frames or 30 frames, and you had to do all this down conversion things.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
but it looked like film when you're done. So I
Right.
had the camera, and I started seeing like ads for people with the camera, and I just started answering them, and I got all this work. So I was like, oh, I'm a cinematographer, but I didn't know shit about it. I didn't know anything about it.
Fake it till you
And
make it, baby.
yeah, and I probably couldn't have done it without that hitting the camera at the right time.
Uh-huh.
So that was little tapes at that point. Um,
Okay.
After that, they came out the HD version of that camera, and I bought that, and that also was the hottest camera out. So, boom, I started rolling and getting a lot of work because of that camera. And then, that point, uh, video cameras had a fixed lens on them, so like
Right.
everything was in focus. You just do the zoom in and everything like that. Like they
Mhm.
didn't have changeable lenses for small video cameras.
Wow. Yeah.
Then they came out with this thing. It was it's called the 35 millimeter adapter, which is a contraption you put on the front of your lens, and that lens looks at a reflection through another lens. It was like a big, using prisms and shit like that. But someone
Really?
came up with the idea, so now you can put 35 millimeter lenses on the front of your camera, and it looked awesome. So that was another wave that I had gotten hooked onto, because I had a 35 millimeter adapter, and I happened to luckily pick the right one that was a good one, and it lasted for a while.
Uh-huh.
So we rode that wave. And at that point, I had my partner Mike, and see, he had one of the cameras also. So we had double cameras, and we just would do all these music videos and all this film work.
So
Then the
it's
Red came out.
hold on a second.
Yeah,
So for the most part, if everybody's following Aram's story, it sounds like not only one did he fake it till he made it, but he definitely fell fucking ass backwards into a lot of beautiful situations, right?
yeah.
I mean, you go into it unknowingly. You buy this camera not with any like knowledge of how to use the shit. You make
Right.
you somehow you make it work. Well, you had a basic understanding of how things work, of course, and then
Not when
you
I bought the camera, not
right.
a damn thing.
Not look at
And
that, Jesus
that was the
Christ.
part. This was the part. This was the integral part of the story.
Mm,
I had to go online, and I found a forum for that camera, and at that time it was a technical forum. How
right,
to use because everything was manual on this camera. All video cameras before that, point and shoot.
right.
This camera, the shutter speed, all that stuff was manual. So people are like, "Well, how do you use this?"
Wow.
They started this forum, and everybody's talking about their settings, and they're showing, people shooting different, cats and flowers and shit like that,
Hmm.
and posting their settings and how they got the certain looks. And
Hmm.
then after about a year of that, people started wanting to shoot like short films, and they
Right.
started a film contest, and it was like a 1 minute film contest, and that's where it snowballed, because then people wanted to do a bigger. They didn't have enough time. A minute was too short, so they made it 6 minutes, and they gave you 3 months to do these things. And I entered these films, and that's where I fell in love with filmmaking, because I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I used my kids for the films,
Right.
but I learned so much off that site, and that site was like, so like, usually forums you have the douchebags and shit, and the trolls, and then you got the good guys, but this thing was like a family.
Okay.
Everybody was learning on this site. Everybody was like, we'd have like 60 entries to these film fests,
Right.
and every time we did a film fest, it got better and better and better, and it was amazing how much like awesome work was coming out of this little forum. And from there on in, I was like super hooked, and I literally quit my job thinking I want to do this for my life. I had no savings, I had nothing. My girlfriend at the time was like, "How can you do that? No, you got to stay at work. You got insurance, you got this, you got that."
And you
I
were
was like,
like,
"I don't
no,
want to do
fuck
that
that.
shit.
Yeah.
Fuck being on the trains in the morning and all that, man." So I literally just quit, and I started answering ads on Craigslist.
hmm
You know, like Craigslist and Production Hub.
Can I ask you a question? Because you just spoke to something that piqued my interest. Um, what year was it? Do you remember what year this was that you quit your job and made that move? Around the time, like around what year it was?
Um, 2000,
Roughly.
2004,
Okay.
2005 ish.
So
Wait, yeah,
people think for a second this guy was jumping out the window to gamble on himself in 2004 and 2005.
yeah. Let
I
this cat out real quick.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
I'm
I want everybody
yeah.
to take a minute and just think about what the country was like in 2004 and 2005. We were sort of we were sort of still reeling from the effects of 9/11, and things were like getting somewhat normal around that time. But fast forward, the situation we're in now with COVID, a lot of people are doing sort of like what I'm doing and taking this opportunity to jump out the window and really examine the things that they really want to do, the things that make them happy. So Aram is speaking to a moment in time that is super relatable for a lot of people. I mean, even for myself, but I know a lot of other people that are like that. They have that mindset now. And I think that everybody should really take that sort of approach to life, because I know myself, I, Aram will tell you, I bet you he's living his best life right now. I think he's going to tell you guys is the best fucking gamble he ever made, because his
Yeah,
life changed completely. He's living he's following his passion. So,
yeah. And I tell everybody, I tell everybody, like, you should be happy for your life. You don't make the most money. It's up and downs. There's some times where I fucking think like I'm gonna go work for McDonald's. It hasn't been like that lately, but there are times, man, there's so much pressure on you, especially if you have like a significant other, and you're try to make ends meet, and there's a job coming, but you just have to wait a little bit. Then it falls through, it gets pushed, and
mhm,
you're stressing the hell out.
right.
But you have to always think about, like, if you do get that job, you're going to trap yourself. And how long are you going to stay trapped before you realize, I got to get out of this thing? And you're going to be miserable. And I did that for 5 years, and I'll never go back to that life. Um,
Listen, this shit
yeah, and like,
you don't miss nobody, bro. You just
yeah,
don't.
and like, you see, it's like those. I see those memes every once in a while. Like, you're working for somebody else, and they're making all the money, and they're the one that are happy, whatever.
hmm
Um, yeah, man. So anytime I meet somebody or some kid that's going to school for something,
hmm
I was like, well, just make sure you pick what you love, and if you whatever you love, be the best at it.
Yeah.
It could be like fucking picking up garbage in the street, but if you're the best at it, you're gonna make money.
If you love it, you
Yeah,
will be the best at it. You
yeah.
will make, you will push yourself to
I went
be the
to
best at it.
Brooklyn College
hmm
for a short stint with
hmm
actually with my sister,
Uh-huh.
and I thought at that time I wanted to do business law.
Okay.
So I took my first business law class, and I got books like that. Like,
Yeah.
they were so freaking thick. And I was like, oh man, there's no way my brain's gonna like focus on any of this stuff. It's too much reading. I couldn't do it.
Did
Fast
you?
forward to Pratt, I go to take my first computer graphics course. The books are that fat. But I was just loving it so much. I was memorizing every single page of that book, man.
And that's the thing. When you find what it is that you're really looking for, and I'm gonna generalize it and just say life in general. When you find the car, when you find those certain, a pair of footwear that you really like, when you meet a woman, when you make certain friends, throughout your life, when you know what it is that's good for you or what you want for you, you go after it hard, right? And you're
Yeah,
focused, and it doesn't feel like work. It just comes naturally, right? It's a natural progression. So I totally get that. I for a time wanted to be a lawyer, and then I did 2 stints at two of the biggest law firms in the world. Well, I'm sorry, one, and I also worked at Pfizer. And man, the commitment without reward made me realize that it wouldn't matter the amount of money that I made because I'd be fucking miserable.
right.
Right? Now here you are, you made this analogy or the, comparison of looking at these two books at two different times, and you're like, I can't even fucking look at this law book. But when it came to your passion, you were like, what? I'm gonna be done with this shit after lunch.
For
and
real,
and
man.
and that demonstrates the difference in the two, right?
And the realization too, when you're sitting there going through this book, going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually reading this stuff." Because you look at, at Brooklyn College, I was just like the first 3 pages, I didn't want to look at anything else. And literally, like the computer animation books, same thing. You just open that thing, and it's all freaking math and all this crap. Luckily, thank God the computer does all the math for you for most of it. Because if I had to do the math, then I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. That's another thing I caught too. Is like my life always caught the wave of something that kept me in it. Like the 3D animation, like we started to talk about, it was
Hmm.
just getting to desktops. So that
Wow.
allowed me to get a crack copy and have that shit at home. So I was able
Th-
to practice it at home and then go to school. And I always had like better projects because I would sit there when I got home instead of going out and hanging out. I'm
Right.
sitting there going, "Oh shit, how can I do this and how can I do that?" Matter of fact, Terminator 2 had just come out,
Hmm.
and they had the guy coming off the floor and the checkerboards, and then he turns into the
Yeah.
guy behind the soda machine and shit. So
Right.
I actually did that same thing with like a coffee cup. And it took me forever to figure out how to do it, but I did it. And then when I showed it to people in class, and
Hmm.
it blew everybody's mind. After that, man, I couldn't do anything at school because I'd sit down in the labs and I have a bunch of dudes like behind me. Yo, how do you do this? How do you do that? It got to the point I couldn't do any of my own work. So that's what prompted me to figure out like how the hell can I get a copy at home. And then one of the teachers was also like a hacker and shit. So he's like, "Yo, man, I hook you up," and he got me a copy to take home, and I was able to figure out how to use it and everything. And from there on, it was just like, oh, this is it, man. I love this.
So you're in this moment. You've found your niche. I guess is the best way I can say it. You're developing your skill. You're honing your craft. You've met Mike. What what's your first big break? Like this job comes along, and you're like, fuck, like this is huge for me. Was it a break
Um,
or was it something that you developed on your own?
yeah, I don't know if I even had a break. I don't know if I could call anything a break because it's still this it's still the same grind, just better
Right, right.
equipment,
Well,
better
let me
projects.
let me ask you this: was there a moment that you were working on a project and that you were like fucking fully vested in, like, oh, this is going to be amazing. All my energy and my creative understanding and my skill is coming out, and this is going to be an amazing fucking project. Like, is there any
Uh,
moment in time that you worked on something and were like fully invested in that way?
Well, it's funny because this is how much I'm into the film. Every single film that I've shot, I felt that way, and every time I shoot a film after that film, I always think like I'm gonna do better on this next film. I'm gonna do better on this next film, and I keep thinking of ways to make it better. So
Hmm.
like in January, end of January, we're supposed to go to Miami
Uh-huh.
to shoot a film, and I'm thinking like, okay, how can I make this one better than the last two I just shot back to back? Um, and sometimes it comes down to like you want to do all this stuff and you want to make it better, but then you're limited. You're always limited by like locations and
Mhm.
budgets and shit like that. And I
Mhm.
try to make it the best I can with whatever they give me. And every time we make it through a film, every time we finish the film, I feel like, oh my, thank God, you know. But there hasn't been a moment, like a life changing moment in it yet, because every project is the same. I mean, not the same, but every project is, to me, is
The commitment is the same.
yeah, the commitment's the same, and every project I get nervous as hell. So that's the one thing that I always said, like if the first day I go in and I'm not nervous, then I was like, I probably should quit, because I don't want to fuck it up. There's always new people that you're meeting. Every time we do a project, there's, I guess you would say, higher end actors or people that you meet each time. Like not the last film, but the one before that.
Mhm.
We had all those football players in the movie. We had Mohamed Sanu from the Giants.
Brianna's letter, was that it?
Brianna's, yeah, the message from Brianna.
Message from Brianna.
Yeah. And
Nice.
so you had all those Super Bowl rings sitting in that room, with us. And I'm not really into football and everything, but to other people, man, I was getting messages like left and right from,
Really?
oh shit, can I get an autograph? Can I get this? Can I get that? And I was like, okay, like I had Vernon, Vernon Davis. He was the
Yeah,
lead in
yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
So he sang my granddaughter happy birthday, and my son-in-law. It's weird saying that, but my son-in-law like flipped out, and and his father, because they're really into sports,
Right,
and they were
right,
like flipping out. Oh my God, can we save that? How do we get that? Oh, can I get a football? Yeah.
People, if you're just joining us, I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set as always, and right now we're speaking to Mr. Aram Bauman, aka Spike, and he just said something that was really telling about his character, and about himself as a person and as a creative. I had asked him if there was any moment in his path that was sort of like a big break or some like a job that he got that would just like would create such an impact on his career, or was life changing. And he stated to me that it's pretty much been every job, and he approaches every job in that way and giving 110% of himself and his commitment to all the projects that he works on. And I think that again, it speaks to his character, it speaks to who he is. And I think people should really take from that. You know, we tend to get comfortable in our surroundings, and in those moments is where we come up short. But as you can see, this gentleman takes his craft so seriously that he goes into it, whether it be a music video, short film, long project, indie, whatever it is, and he wants to give all of himself into the project. And I think that's not only commendable, but fucking respectable as hell. So salute to you, brother, because
Thanks, man.
a lot of people don't look at it that way. They get comfortable, they get complacent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
You've go ahead.
like speaking on that moment thing. It's funny how when I meet people and talk to them, like if this is before like we signing contracts,
Hmm.
they almost always try to pitch that, oh, you're gonna like make it at the top with me, and I'm gonna take you here, I'm gonna take you there.
You don't need
But
to
I'm
pump
like,
me up.
yeah, you don't need to pump me up, because I'm gonna make your. I always tell them, no matter what your project is at the end, I'm guarantee you it's gonna look good.
Right.
Like it might be a shitty ass story, you might have shitty ass actors, but your movie is gonna look amazing no matter what happens.
You
So
know, there's something, and I'm gonna bring this subject up. It might be a little touchy, but I want to bring it up anyway. There's a project that Mr. Aram Bauman has worked on for a mutual friend of ours, and if you haven't seen it, by now you should go when you have the time. Go on YouTube and look it up. It's called the 10 Crack Commandments. This film is such a heartbreaker because it was it was an immense project. It definitely was. And Aram and Mike did such a fucking job on it. And if you go, there will be so many notable hip hop stars that you'll recognize in it. Huddy Combs. Um, who was the two brothers? Sparkman Ism. I forget the name of their group. There's so many people that,
you had
yeah, I forget their name.
Channel Live.
Channel Live. One of the brothers from Channel Live plays a crackhead.
Yeah, Hawk.
Hawk, right.
Yeah.
There's so many people in this movie, and it was heartbreaking to watch that film not take off. But that leads me to my next question, and this is part of the reason why I brought it up. What made you play a crackhead in one of the films one of the projects you were working on? I
Oh,
saw that.
I love doing cameos. I think
Yeah, I
I've
know.
cameoed in everything that I've done. So I did the crackhead in 10 Crack, and I
Hmm.
also did one in this pilot that I did called
The little gangster movie, little thingy.
I
It's like
forgot the name of the thing.
it's like a web series or something like that, right?
It was a pilot web series kind of thing.
Right, right, right.
What the hell was the name of it? I forgot. I can't believe I forgot.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah, my friend Rocco, it was his story, and in the beginning it's funny because they had another director before that,
Okay.
and I came in. My friend Johnny Thursday, um, said, "Yo, dude, this guy's got a director, but he's like not good, and he
Hmm.
stole money or some shit like that. We need somebody to fill
Uh,
in real quick." So we kind of took over the project like on the fly. And
right.
when I got there and I watched the stuff that they had, I'm like, this is like the typical gangsters. Like, I mean, these guys are all in suits. They're all sitting around a table. Like, that's like every other movie. You're just
Exactly.
trying to recreate The Godfather. So I tried to change it so it was more like, normal people.
Right.
It's like, because you got cell phones and shit like that. You got to kind of hide things. You got, everybody's watching nowadays. So
Everybody.
I try my best to tweak it as much as I can to bring it up to date and to not be so typical. And it's funny because my friend Rocco, he's he's like got the best heart, but he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. And
You heard that,
his
right,
writing,
Rocco?
yeah, and his writing's the same way. It's like constant. It's like, and I'm like, I always have to tell him, I was like, you don't need to say all this. You can do this in a look. You just
Yeah.
have to look. So what I wound up doing, like we had Artie Pasquale and a couple. Artie is an old school like gangster
Hmm.
actor from like the Boardwalk Empire and all these things.
Hmm.
Um, he sat down for this one of these scenes, and he was like, "Oh my God, there's so much dialogue here. Like, do we have to say all this? I can't even remember all this stuff." And then I looked at Rocco and said,
You see?
"See, Rocco, see, I told you." And it's like, but I have something in my back pocket, and I had a
A
remake of this
revision?
revision for the scene.
Wow.
And the guy he looked at it, he goes, "Spike, this is awesome." I was like, "Yeah, man, this just, this is just in case you guys couldn't get through all the dialogue." Because I understood that, Rocco was a first time filmmaker at that time, and
Right.
he didn't understand, like, you don't have to explain everything and hit people over the head with ideas, you
Right.
know. So we were able to get through it. And, I did what I could with what I had. And I haven't looked at it in a while, but, you know,
Well, listen, the reason why I looked at it, I mean, I know your work, right? So I wanted to refresh myself and go back to stuff and just give it a second look. Become reacquainted, so to speak.
yeah,
And not just sit here and like just fucking bullshit. I want people to really understand that, we are not like you and I are friends, but outside of this, you bring a lot of work to the table. Like you're not just on here because I need a friend for a favor. No. Well, sorta. No. Um you have a body of work that's out there, right? So when I was going
15
back,
plus years.
yeah, when I was going back there and looking at your work, this caught my eye because, like you said, there was a lot of talk that could have, whatever. But I also noticed a lot of familiar faces. But there's two familiar faces that I noticed. The garage scene, you had Chi Chi from Scarface in there,
Right.
and then there's a gentleman that I'm friends with that was standing behind him in the purple suit, and his name is this. I'm having a senior moment right
Oh,
now.
shit. Oh, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, God, what's his name?
He's done a lot of work too. That guy.
Roletto, damn.
Yeah, I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. And we've spoken in the past, whatever. He's a really nice guy, like great guy. Um, but I was trying to figure out who knew who to bring Chi Chi into this web series. Like, how did that?
Johnny Thursday, pretty much.
Oh,
He's old school gangster.
mm-hmm,
His father was one of those guys.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
when I used to hang out with those guys on Arthur Avenue, man, it's like the real deal up there.
right.
So he had the hooks for a lot of things.
Wow,
Um,
wow.
so like my friend G fella, he's like that I got a guy. It's like if you want
Yeah,
something, just hit him up and they'll make it happen.
nice. It helps,
It
doesn't it?
helps. Yeah.
So, all right, we're in COVID, um, and I've been asking people as they come on the show, like, what are they doing? Are they doing anything differently? One, and two, what are they doing to keep themselves sort of in that creative bubble so that they don't, fall stagnant or you dull out, so to speak, especially in these sort of conditions. So, have things changed for you? Are you still like? Do you feel like you need refreshing, or are you in a good space?
Um, you know, for me, like nothing's really changed because
Hmm.
when you have I guess you're I have a company, but it's also like freelance, so you work when you have the gigs.
Right.
And when I don't have the gigs, I'm home. I'm pretty much a homebody.
Mhm.
And I spend my time watching movies. Like I'll watch a lot of movies, a lot of series. I watch a lot of YouTube things. There's a lot of channels on there with um, short films and other just tutorials on special effects. I just
Mhm.
like to go through all those things, and I've always been like that.
Mhm.
And then I also I'm a gamer, which I've been a gamer because of the 3D animation. Is that when I got into gaming because of that? Because the first time I saw Unreal Tournament,
Mhm.
I saw the environments and
Right.
I was like, holy shit, this shit is awesome. And I wanted to see how they did all the lighting and everything. So I bought the game, but then
Mhm.
I was like, fuck, I got to play this game to get through everything, So then I got really good at gaming, and it just took off from there. I was actually in oh my god, in clans that were like doing I guess at that time it really wasn't professional. They were called ladders,
Right.
and we were
Right.
top. We were like on the top all the time. Like
Wow.
my eye hand coordination is crazy. I guess it's the Asian blood in me. But even to this day, man, I still have a fast fucking hand. You
Mm.
know, it's definitely slowed down some, but I'm still quick on the draw to the point where people still think I'm cheating, which which
Something's
yeah, I
wrong
get
with my controller.
I get pissed off. No, this is mouse and keyboard, man. No, I can't do that controller
Oh,
shit. The
really?
controller thing, man. I can't aim. That whole because it's too like mechanical. Like I need to be able to flick my mouse over as fast as I can.
Wow.
Um,
That's
but
skill.
it's funny because a couple of years ago, I got banned from a game,
Why?
and it's I don't cheat at all, but and usually there's cheat programs like anti cheats that are out there. They
Right.
catch people who load software and everything.
Right.
I never cheated,
Uh-huh.
but I got what was called um I guess you would call it a company a ban from the actual company. you
What?
know, I guess I got enough complaints about me that they figured I must be cheating, and they can't figure out how I'm cheating, and I got this fucking ban from them. And I was dude, man, I was so pissed off. I was gonna go cross country with my fucking computer. I was gonna like play all these people on the way, do this whole documentary on this, and then show up at their door and play right in fucking front of them, so I could show them that I'm not cheating and take that shit off my fucking record because it's a Steam game. And Steam games, man, that shit, they don't just ban your fucking game. They put that shit up on your profile. And then once that happens, you can't play no other games. You got to make a new account, man. Oh, dude, I was on a rampage when that shit happened. I,
Hold
I, I, I couldn't fucking sleep.
on. If you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set. We're speaking to the creator cinematographer, Mr. Aram Spike Bauman. And as everybody can see, he is still a big kid at heart. He
Yeah.
was ready to go and document his journey around the country, knocking on other gamers' doors and playing them in their face so that they can realize he's not cheating. I mean, I nothing screams child like that thought right there just did. And you know what? I honestly would have watched that. I think that would have been an amazing. You should have done that. You should have
Oh,
committed to that. I think that would have been a great look.
well, it's funny because I was planning it. I had different places I was going to go and stop and play.
Uh-huh.
Um, I just couldn't find the company's like place where I can go. Like they had
Mm.
different addresses and there were different like Twitter accounts and shit you can hit people up, but I couldn't find their fucking main office. And I
You
was like, damn it.
well, Rockstar Games has an office in like, and Flatiron. I don't know if
Now
you know
this
that.
is fucking this is Call of Duty.
Call.
This is Call of Duty, man. This was like, so I was like, where the hell am I gonna? I forget which. It was Black Ops 2 or some shit like that. So every time Call of Duty comes out, like they have another company that helps them out, and so I'm not
yeah.
sure where I got this band. Like who gave me this band? So I couldn't find out where to go for this stupid thing.
So wait a minute. You're telling me to is it banned? You're banned to this day?
Yeah, I had to make another account because if I go on my old account, it still sits there saying you've been banned at at
Jesus
you know.
Christ! Listen,
And then the fucking thing they told me when I finally got in touch with somebody, oh, just buy
what?
the game again. And I'm like, what's the? Oh man, dude, I was so fucking heated. You don't even understand, man.
All right, let's reel it in. Let's get back to the film.
Yeah,
I gotta salute you, man. You're fully fucking committed. I haven't picked up a joystick pause and like I can't even think of the last video game I played was Street Fighter 2. Like
uh,
on like arcade.
yeah.
And when the gaming systems hit, like I I don't know. I just like I guess my life changed. Like I started getting into women and going out and it didn't stay with me like that. I can't lie. Street Fighter
Well,
2, we would travel and go play people and shit like that. I was a teenager or whatever. Or
yeah.
and we used to do all that. But after a while I don't know, games just, you know,
Well, you know what it is for me for those particular games because all the games I like are first person shooters, really
right.
fast, high energy.
Uh-huh.
And it's taken the place of basketball because ever since I
Ah,
got my hips done,
yeah.
like I have no outlet
Ah,
to let anger out or whatever it is, stress out.
right.
So these games actually is what does it for me now. It's my sport.
Okay.
And that's pretty much why I'm so good at it. Because
I would
remember when we used to play ball, man, it was like nonstop.
Yep.
We'd go to Columbia 8 o'clock in the morning, play till it
Jesus
got dark,
Christ.
and then hop on the fucking ferry and go to Staten Island and play in Cromwell till 4 in the morning and shit. And then wake
Wow.
up 8 o'clock the next morning and do the same shit again. And to the point where my legs, like I said, I was my mom's house. My room was on the top floor,
Hmm.
so I would literally have to like slide down the stairs all the way down to the bottom floor because my legs would hurt that much from playing. And I always thought it was just muscle pain, but it turned out that I destroyed my hips, doing that.
Yeah. Listen,
So
I think that was a huge part of State Street overall, like playing sports. And salute to our brothers from State Street.
yeah,
Salute to my 410 crew, Roger, Adam, June, Pete, Baby, Reggie, Dirk,
yeah,
Ken, Pat, the whole Weeks family, all the brothers from over there.
we had a nice diverse crew, man. And another thing too, State
Yeah.
Street, we had a ragtag, you know, we had ragtag kind of like crew, but we used to beat everybody like football and all. So we used to go out on the Bergen Street, play those motherfuckers. We used to go up to like Coney Island and beat those motherfuckers. We did some damage, man.
Those were the days. Can't
Yeah,
do that shit anymore.
nah.
So now that we're here, right? We're in 2020, COVID hits. You seem to keep yourself, still focused. You're still feeling creative. As you explain, the jobs, are they come and they go, and you work as you go. What are some of the hopes that you have for the future, or some of the projects that you would like to sort of work on, or maybe you have your own sort of projects that you have been working on behind the scenes?
um,
You still want to
it's
stay
hard to
behind the
say.
camera, huh?
No, oh, yeah, I always want to stay behind the camera, but
Okay.
one of the things is so funny because like when we first started, like I said, with that site, I was making short films, Mike was making his short films, and that's how we met.
Hmm.
We didn't have anything, and we were making short films like crazy. Now we have everything, and we haven't made a damn film because like we're so critical. And this goes back to talking about when you're such a perfectionist, nothing's good enough.
Yeah.
And we've written so many starts of scripts that just like you can't get past a certain point because it's like, damn, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough.
Mm.
So this year, COVID was so weird, man. COVID was bad because I lost both my parents.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of people. I can't believe how many people I've lost that were close to
Right.
COVID. But money wise, it's been really good.
Okay.
We got those two films back to back. They gave us the PPEs and all that stuff. We got the loans for all that stuff,
Nice.
and
Nice.
then we decided to, with the extra money that we had, we invested. We did
Okay.
stocks. So we actually have a pretty nice
Little portfolio.
the portfolio, and we were talking about like, okay, after we hit like 250, we're gonna use it to make our own film.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you
that's the
have
plan.
you have a specific script that you guys been working on, together, or?
Um, no, Mike was writing his script. I had a script.
Mhm.
But one of the ideas that I had, he really likes, and that it's more like a series kind of thing.
Okay.
But we
Okay.
have to develop it more because it's been sitting in my head, and I mentioned it to him in
Mm.
passing, and then he went home and thought about it. He was like, "Dude, man," and he started talking about like how it could go, how it can keep going.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, but I can't really talk about it until we have
No.
something,
No. No.
actually, yeah.
Well, listen. Now that
But
you said that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but now that you said that, I want the exclusive because all my guests that come on the show, I leave an open invitation for them to come back to promote something or to bring some
yeah,
news to our followers. And I'm assuming that by the time that you guys make this come into fruition, being the perfectionist that you are, there'll be enough time for the show to grow, and you will feel inclined to come back and give me the
actually, I'm not.
exclusive.
I love this. Is actually not bad. I was dreading. You saw like I kind of was like,
I
oh
know,
man,
I
but
know.
this feels like I'm just on the phone talking to somebody. So
No,
if and it feels like we've been just oh yeah, what's up, man,
just
and talking.
bullshitting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm not as nervous as I was.
But yeah, but that's the thing, and like I've told past guests as well. Everybody, well, not everybody. There've been quite a few guests that have come on. I had the gentleman who runs the sports properties for the Miami Hurricanes, the football team down in
Yeah,
Miami Hurricanes. Um, I had a rapper on here. I had an author from the Bronx, Mr. Al King. I had a variety of guests, and I've always gotten people like that. They say, oh, I'm nervous, and and I always tell them, listen, this show isn't about me; it's about you. One, two, it's not. You're not going to have an audience. It's going to feel like we're just two friends catching up, and
right.
just be yourself. And after a while, everything else will fade away. And as you can see, you feel you're in that mode, right? It just feels like we're catching up and bullshitting.
Yeah, yeah,
And it helps because again, the most important thing that we want to do here at the set is we want to make people see we are bringing real people that they can relate to and they can connect with. And there's no pomp and circumstances. I would hate to have people on here that people are watching and they're like, fuck is this guy, who does he think he is? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I've met people, and I'm sure you've met a lot of people, especially in your work, that you're like, wow, I thought Joey Bag of Donuts was a real asshole. He's a really nice guy, right? or I met Karen fucking Cuntwad, and I thought she was a piece of shit, and wow, she treated me like a fucking human being. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I think it's really important, especially now in the moment, that people start to realize and understand that we're just fucking humans. We're all imperfect. We all have our faults. But at the end of the day, nobody's special. Nobody's special. So, with that being said, I still want that exclusive. And everybody's watching. So, you can't turn me down later on when that film is ready
but
to
you got to
come out.
remind me because my
Oh,
mind,
yeah, I
like
know.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting like even like it's funny. I just got a text earlier right before I started this.
Uh-huh.
Um, one of the guys who works with us, he wants to use some of the equipment tomorrow. So
Hmm.
I'm like, dude, you got to remind me. So he just texted me, oh, Spike, don't forget 6 o'clock tomorrow. I got to pick up the stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. Remind me again tomorrow.
Wake my ass up because I ain't going to remember tomorrow either, Jack.
Yeah, I got so many things on my mind. That's the one thing too is like when you have a lot of time like this,
Yeah.
in between gigs,
Right.
you're thinking about so many different things. And
Yeah.
luckily, like we haven't had to think about money in a while.
Good.
We've
Good.
been, work has been coming in, and we have a year-long project that's been going on, and
Wow.
that's been he's been basically paying our salaries on top of our
Oh,
gigs.
wow.
Yeah, it was a really good contract. So
Wow.
and it
That's
came at the right time. So
perfect.
yeah, right time. And then if we figured COVID was going to kill it, but it didn't.
Mm.
So this was a it sucks to say it was a good year for that, but it was like the shittiest fucking year for everything else.
Listen, I've been having these discussions off the cuff with people from time to time. called, and somebody was pointing this out too in a forum that I was in, called survival's remorse, right? So in this moment, there's a lot of people that are fucking suffering. And you know, everybody out there, if you're watching this, if you're going through a hard time right now and other people are not going through a hard time, understand a lot of us that are okay have so much fucking empathy and for you people, because I wouldn't want anybody to be in that position, right?
Yeah.
But that people that are not affected, you shouldn't feel guilty about anything, because it's not on us. These the people that are in control of this situation and that are living high in the fucking hog, you know, that are giving out millions of dollars to their friends and their fucking donors. Those
Yeah.
people sleep real easy at night. They don't give a fuck. So in your situation and others, nobody should feel guilty about being okay. Just do not ever lose your empathy or your humanity, because that's the most important thing, right?
Right.
And that's what connects us. When you start to lose that shit, then you're somebody that I really don't want to have too close to me. So, I'm glad for you, because I understand you're a family man. You have people that depend on you. Your partner depends on you. You know, Mike is a great guy. So you shouldn't feel any regret. And the pain of losing people, super relatable. You know, we're both sort of in that realm. Um,
Yeah.
and I think people just need to gauge themselves and take it, day by day as it comes. And there's gonna come a moment where you're gonna be able to reflect on this, and who knows, maybe something really good will come out of it all. You know what I mean? Like you'll find something in this whole experience that'll affect you differently and bring you to a different state of mind, right?
Yeah. I've been thinking about writing a script with this experience because unless you experience it, you don't know about it. And you see that all over the country with these, all these states that are getting destroyed now, where all the states are saying that shit is fake.
Yep.
They weren't ready for it.
Yep.
So I kind of, we hit it in the beginning when it was like, no one knew what the fuck to do, and everybody was getting hammered, and you had nurses like posting YouTube videos crying. Like you don't see. It's funny because you don't see any of that. These like supposedly it's worse than it was back then, but
Mm.
you don't see these people crying like they were here because it was so condensed into one spot.
Well,
So
I take a different my understanding of that action that you just spoke to is very different, because everything is a controlled situation, in that the information that we get, I'm not saying true, false, this, I'm not going to even, that's not even in the fucking realm. Everything has a reason to why they feed us certain things over, like they overdose us with this, and then they take this away, and then they
yeah,
overdose. Like, have you heard of ISIS? Come on.
I know
What happened to ISIS?
that shit disappeared real quick.
What happened to terrorists coming to kill us? Like,
Yep. Yeah, those motherfuckers are afraid to come over here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're like, I don't want to go over there.
yeah, dude, yeah. So right now, I think the biggest, and I'm sorry to everybody. Listen, if you're just joining us, I'm your host, Mr. A. Welcome to the set. My good friend, creative, cinematographer, filmmaker, Mr. Aram Spike Bauman joins us tonight. And we're just talking about, events of the world and sort of just, rounding things off. But I feel like people don't understand that right now that the country's being pushed towards the edge of eruption. That's the big story now. Like the COVID uptick and the people getting infected that are like, it's springboarding into the atmosphere again. It's coming up again. But the big story is the civil unrest and how people are ready to pop off because of some election. Which
Yeah,
again, what the fuck ever. We ain't gonna touch that. But
yeah.
let me ask you this: what can people look for presently online, or that should be coming out soon, um, of your work? Like, where can they go find your work now?
Uh, Funny because Dwellers,
Hmm.
it's not. it's not out yet, but I think it's going directly to Redbox.
Okay.
The one before that, the Lakeland Clinton Road, went to Redbox. That was from the same director.
Okay.
The new one, Message from Brianna, that was also from the same director. That's supposed to be, I think that's going on to Player TV, which is a new thing from Samsung. And
Okay.
that was the whole point of having all those football players in it.
Okay.
Was that it was I think the contract was something like the film had to be made by NFL people, but it couldn't be about sports. It had to be acting and some kind of narrative.
Okay.
I believe that was the deal.
Okay.
So I'm not sure when that's coming out. Then there's a short film called Victim Number 6. That
Hmm.
one, it's everything's kind of, it's weird because everything's kind of on hold like that because of the COVID. Normally, like the short film would go to film fest, and then I could say, oh, go to this film fest or see it online here and
Hmm.
things like that. But this is a double-edged sword. All the films that we've done have gone directly to distribution,
Hmm.
and that's really good for the filmmakers and everything. But like, it kind of sucks because you don't get to go to film fest and get like awards and shit like that. So I have like 0 awards, but they
You
all
you
go.
have 0 awards? You have
Yeah,
no
because
awards.
they never go to a film fest for them. They go directly
Ah,
to distribution.
they're like,
But
fuck a film festival. We want money.
yeah, they want to go right away. And so, and it's funny.
Wow.
I told Deshaun, I was like, "Oh man, all these films, and we should do 1 or 2 film fests." He's like, "Yeah, but these guys want the films." I'm not mad at that. The funny thing is, the last film that I did, the guy was like, he he's still old school about like keeping like the film close to his chest, don't release any photos and all that stuff. I was like, dude, man, it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
Now when you're shooting your film, try to get as many photos out there, try to get behind the scenes out there, because people are
Cre-
looking.
Create the
you know
buzz.
People on YouTube, they're looking. If you can get, like, same thing with Ten Crack was the first film that gave us like that kind of thing. We put the trailer out, it got 10,000 hits within a week, and distributors started calling right
Dude,
away.
you're breaking my heart right now.
Yeah, but because of that, so then the Sean's first movie came out, and I was like, dude, if we can get 10,000 hits, you know, people are gonna start calling. And same thing, we got, I think, 11, 12,000 hits the first week, and we
Mhm.
got 3 distributors called us right away, and it's been like that for every film. So
People, if you're paying attention to what Mr. Bauman just said, he said they got 10,000 hits in a week and the phones were ringing.
phones are ringing.
If
Yep.
you think about what he's saying compared to 2020, if you got 10,000 hits in a week, you wasn't doing nothing. They do 10,000 hits in like a few hours. That's when you know somebody's really ringing off. But it's just a little bit of a time lapse. Some like it's been like 10 years already, 12 years since 10 Crack, at least.
At least when Red cameras first came out,
Yeah.
is the
Wow.
movie today.
Jesus, I remember
Yeah,
that.
because that was our first Red back then.
Yeah. But I got a better idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post up a few links of Aram's work on the Facebook page, and you guys can check them out and then sort of explore on your own if you're interested to go look at more of his work. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
got on our Vimeo. I guess I'll send you
the
links.
Vimeo. Yeah, please send me the
The
links. I'll
Vimeo,
post them up.
or they have all our music videos. We did a couple of Wyclef videos and things like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, so those are all on the Vimeo. Our site, theurbanmouse.com, has some things. It's weird because we try to keep not that much stuff on there. Like, we actually pushed it more toward commercial work, 'cause we did a ton of commercial work in the last couple of years.
Hmm.
But now we're like, man, we want to do more film work. So
Yeah.
now when you look at our site, though, it's geared toward commercials.
Yeah.
So
Well,
now we have to kind of revamp it up.
Well, you know what? Since I got the inside track, you send me the links of the film work, and I'm going to put them up so I can share them with everybody, because I'm sure they're going to want to start looking at stuff. I know I'm going to want to keep up too, because that trailer we just watched is a little fucking crazy, but I digress.
Yeah.
So before we go, we've reached the
Oh, we gotta
point.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Aram, just understand, like I said earlier, every guest that I've had on the show, I tell them, you have an open invitation to come back on the show at your leisure. So if like in 3 months or even 3 weeks, you're like, yo, I'm working on this project, I want to promote it, dude. You just message me. Oh yeah, all right, we'll do a special segment. You'll come on, we'll talk about it, and the
Okay.
platform is yours. So at any given point in time, you have something that you want to promote, you want to speak, anything. The platform is yours. All you got to do is reach out to me, and I got you. You know that.
All right. You know, dude, when I go out to Miami,
Hmm.
for that film, maybe we could do like a behind the scenes or something.
Hey,
Oh,
love it. I would love
yeah.
it. Yes, I would love that. I think the viewers are getting that sort of experience. Man, I think they would love that too. You have a Mr. Rivera over here in the room saying, "I want to be in a movie." he wants to. He
Um,
wants to take your place as the crackhead. I think that's what's happening.
yeah. I'm in the message from Brianna. I was playing a mental guy. Yeah, it's funny too. I didn't even realize what I did, but then when I watched the rough cut
Uh huh.
and I saw, I was like, oh shit, it's pretty funny.
It's dangerous. You're getting typecast, man. That's not good.
Yeah, I typecast myself. That's the problem. Well, you know what's funny with Ken Crack? The
Uh
reason why I played a crackhead because I had a crazy spine injury at the time, so I couldn't even stand up straight. I was like so hunched over from pain. That's
huh.
the only thing I could play because I was like literally walking with a cane and all fucking shaking and everything. Man,
People, before we go, I just want everybody to know something. Go check out. There's a few trailers. The full movie is not on YouTube, but go check out the trailer for the 10 Crack Commandments, and
is it
it's
still up
shot.
there?
Yeah, you have to look for it, but it's definitely up there because I saw it maybe like 2 weeks ago. I was talking to somebody about it. Go check out the movie by my brother, Mr. Caballero, in conjunction with Aram, and it's shot all over New York City. There's a couple of shots in Wyckoff Project, yeah, Wyckoff Projects, downtown
Was it?
Brooklyn, and
Oh no, was it in Brooklyn? No, we did everything in Manhattan. Manhattan.
no, there's a shot that you guys did at Wyckoff. I know it because I think was Negro in that shot. My man Esteban Quinones was in a shot. I don't know if it was that when he was chasing after dude. He was playing a cop. But there's a scene that you guys did in Wyckoff, and you guys got chased out of there. As a matter of fact, if I remember the story correctly,
Oh no, because
I'm taking them down memory lane, folks.
yeah, that's so long ago too. Shit, I don't even remember Negro being in that thing.
Yeah, he played a cop, and you guys made him run, and he was kind of out of shape at that time, and he was not happy about that, to say the least. He was out of shape.
Oh,
Yeah, you remember? See,
down underneath the bridge,
yeah,
underneath the bridge, and then we
yeah.
had. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yo, the awesome
uh,
thing about that movie, man, like we used all real drug dealers and shit,
yeah,
and the way the way we had to do it because they weren't actors,
nope.
so what we had to say is like, dude, I had to take them to the side, each one to the side, and I was
Hmm.
like, yo, this dude's trying to like take your shit.
Yeah,
So when he comes to you, do whatever you would do in real life. And then I go to the other guy and go, yo, man, you'll see that guy? You want his shit, man. You gotta try whatever you're gonna do to take his shit. And they would just go. And it was so fucking natural. It was like I was like, oh, this is awesome. It took a while. There's some scenes that are just fucking fucked up because it was like there's too much dialogue, too much trying to act.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like when it came down to like to the dealer scenes and things like that, it was fucking on point because those
Yes,
guys knew what to do
yeah.
and they didn't they wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Like they didn't feel like they were on in a film and they didn't like lock
No.
up. They were just like, yo, this is me.
the
Yeah.
the crazy thing is
Yo, the fight scenes were real in that thing.
no shit.
Yeah.
I was just gonna get into that, but now I'm gonna skip that. The sad thing to me is that movie is sitting on like 4 hard drives, and
Even if they still work, that shit's old hard drives.
nah, they work. They work. The
Yeah.
movie is sitting on 4 hard drives, and I don't know what it would take to get them to actually have them edited. But if that was to be able to happen, I think even in this moment, people would fucking watch that film. That film is
I still get people
amazing.
hitting me up because when we were doing it, all the people that I've known from the streets were like,
Hmm.
"Yo, I want to see that. I want to see it. Want to see it." And they still hit me up every couple of months. Yo, what's up with the movie? And I'm like, it's kind of just, it's, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I think
It's like it's,
we were all in that sort of bubble of not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say, because
yeah,
again, damn, this opens old wounds. I love that fucking film, and I really feel like, especially right now, I think if that film was to drop on like Apple, whatever, or whatever platform, I think it would
yeah.
do so well, But
It needs to be edited the right way, because that was one
yeah,
of the things that, when it left our hands
hmm
to be edited, like it couldn't have been edited because there are certain things that were in there that had to be edited a certain way, and if they
right,
didn't do it that way, it wasn't working,
right,
unfortunately. Um,
yeah,
but it's can't do anything about it.
yeah, it hurts.
If it was to be redone though, yeah, there'd be a couple of scenes I would definitely redo. Have it yeah, because
Reshot
they're just
or reshot or just
reshot. Yeah,
uh
reshot, because there's some things that were kind of weird. Actually, it's funny. I never actually seen the any of the finished stuff.
no?
No, because I
I,
had, I did the rough cuts for some
right,
of them.
right.
The complicated scenes I never got to, because I was like, but I remember what had to be done to get those scenes done,
Mm-hmm.
because they were shot, in my head when I was shooting them. I was like, okay, I'm shooting it this way, this way, this way, but it's got
Mm-hmm.
to be put together a certain way, or else it'll just not really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we never got that far into it after um
Yeah.
like did the first 3 4 rough cuts.
Mm. And it's funny because and then I'm gonna end it here. I had at least two artists that wanted to score that film. And one of them, our mutual, I don't want to say friend, I want to say our family member, because we like family to a degree. Um had told me, he was like, yeah, I want to bring him on, and it just happened so late in the game, and it's heartbreaking because again, I think that movie, man, right now, I hope it do so great. That's just my opinion, but I'm gonna get
Yeah.
off of that. Um, Aram, it was amazing talking to you. I
Yep.
appreciate you giving me your time. I'm glad you had a good time and you relaxed and you're not nervous.
Yeah.
Salute to you and all of your work. And like I said, the platform is yours whenever you need it to be or want it to be. All you got to do is reach out, brother, and you can come on here and we can kick it and chop it up and do what we've been doing just for like the past 2 hours. So just remember, you always got a place over here at the set. And again, thank you so much for coming on, man. I
Oh,
appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me, man. This was fun.
Thank
I
you. Yeah,
felt
I'm glad. I'm glad.
yeah. Yeah, I recommend it to anybody who's out there sitting there waiting to go next.
Brother, I appreciate you. And
Yeah.
we'll speak soon, if anything.
Yeah, definitely. I'll let you know. I was supposed to go out there 27th to
Hmm.
Miami.
Okay.
Um, it's for BET, so I don't know these producers and everything, and I'll
Okay.
let you know what the story is if I could, because if I can, um, like I don't if we're shooting at the time your show comes on, if I could get the live thing going and they approve that shit, then I'll let it happen. If not,
Whatever
we'll do it
works.
behind the scenes, like
Yeah.
after a day of shooting. I'll try to get some footage together, whatever. Not
Awesome.
footage from the actual film, but footage that
No,
I
yeah.
filmed from. Yeah.
Yeah. We could do that.
So
Whatever we can do to work, I'm with it. So you reach out. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna reach out because I know you got a bad memory. So we'll make it happen, brother. Thank
dude,
you so
man,
much for
yeah,
coming on the show, brother.
thank you so much for having me again, and it's good talking to you. And so definitely stick, even if your other partner never comes up to par, stay with this because you sound really good.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, man. He's coming. We're gonna be here. So
All
make
right.
sure you follow us, all right, brother?
Oh yeah. Am I not?
I don't know. But
Oh, I
you
should.
better figure that shit out now, brother, when you get off here.
I watched two. I watched two of the. I watched the rapper and then the singer lady from Sunset.
Yeah, Jeannie Soul and
Yeah.
James Squatch Joyce, the elusive scumbag. He's
Yeah.
great guy, super great guy. All right,
Yeah.
brother.
All
So
right, man.
we'll catch up soon. All right.
All right, man. Peace.
Salute. There you have it, people. Mr. Aram Bauman, aka Spike. Um, just a great guy. Super creative. As you see, he gives all of himself to his work. I'm gonna be posting his links. If he remembers to fucking send me the Vimeo links, I'm definitely gonna be posting them up. I know I opened up an old wound speaking about 10 Crack Commandments, but listen, this hood movie, and I know a lot of people, like, oh, hood movies are so done, right? We've seen every hood movie, but this movie was that movie. So many different people that you would have recognized. The story plot was like uh Pulp Fiction-ish, where you had all these different lives colliding together. And I know me saying that is not going to help you get the message, but I'm telling you, it was a dope hood movie. And if this podcast can be some sort of platform to pull that movie out from those hard drives and actually get it edited, man, I would be ecstatic. And not only that, I would be happy for y'all because trust me when I tell you, this movie, I want to say it's crack, but it's the 10 Crack Commandments. So it's just an amazing movie. Salute to my brother Baby Caballero, the creator and writer of 10 Crack Commandments, and to my brother Mr. Aram Bauman and his partner Mike, Urban Mouse Productions. And all my 410 crew, my State Street crew, man, I see y'all. We still connected to this day, and I love that. My man Reggie Smith, all the way to hell up in Washington. I see you, brother. Congratulations on Smooth. Watch over the little girls and, keep doing what you do. My brother Adam Kamakawi, the bike fanatic, the good brother. I see you out there. But yeah, man. So, as you all know or might not know, we're having a raffle, a PS5 raffle. We're going to announce it officially on Wednesday, December 9th. We're going to announce it Wednesday, December 9th, but we're getting it in early. So if you want to get in early, it's $2 a box. Just, DM me, message me, and I'll give you all the details. We're going to be having it raffled off the week of Christmas. So if you've been trying to or wanting to or whatever, and you can't get a PS5, we're having a raffle Christmas week, the 20th. If you live in the 5 boroughs, I will deliver it personally. And I will be filming me bringing it to you just so we could put it up on the set. But if you've been trying to get a PS5 and can't get one, join the raffle. It's $2 a box. Can't hurt. And this Wednesday, December 9th, 7 p.m., Brooklyn's own Joey Magic Brower. It's the Magic Man. He's the St. Leo's and Sheepshead Bay legend talking about hoops. Now, if you're a Brooklyn dude, if you're a New York dude and you don't like basketball, that's kind of weird to me. But for most of my viewers, they love ball. Pause. So you're going to want to hear this man's story. He's that dude that grew up in the hood that you would think, he can't hoop. He can hoop. This brother's nice. Played against Georgetown, was talking shit to Alonzo Mourning. You're going to want to tune in Wednesday. This is going to be a great show. So I'm not going to drag. Sorry about that. I'm not going to drag it out any longer. I hope everybody has an amazing week. Be safe out there. Watch over your loved ones. Tell those people that you're not talking to in a while that you love them. Be kind to each other. We all got to deal with this bullshit. And I know everybody's frustrated and angry. Whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Remain human. Being nice to somebody doesn't cost shit. All right? Just take care of one another. Watch over your loved ones. Watch over your babies. And we'll see you on Wednesday. All right?